SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI, the show we do every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, where we get a glimpse into some of the action that he's taken for the upcoming weekend's notable sports betting events. Right now we're looking ahead to NFL Week 7 and college football Week 8. Brent, thanks for being back with us once again.
Yes, glad to be on, Peter.
All right, so right now it's Thursday afternoon. We're going to do college football Week 8 right now. And before we get into the sharp action that you've taken over the week, I do want to ask you about 4 games. There's a bunch of marquee matchups this week. The first one, obviously, the most marquee is Florida State, Clemson. You know, I'm just assuming that you've got big public action on this game and that it's split. As far as sharp action, I couldn't really guess. What have you gotten so far, Brent?
Well, the volume has been real heavy, which is
right.
Obviously is a good thing. There's a lot of games this week where there's just been a ton of action on a lot of these games, which is really nice for us because it makes it easier for balance the action. Right now, our money does favor Clemson. It's about 2-1 in favor of Clemson, both the money and the count, but just a ton of good volume. We don't have a major decision right now. Florida State is a 3-point favorite with a total. We're up to 64 on the total now, Peter. We did take sharp action on this game. It was actually on the over 63. So the side, no sharp action so far, but on the total, yes.
So you have gotten sharp action. You anticipate getting even more at 64? I would assume that in a game like this, the public would follow that sharp action.
Yeah, I would expect it to. That's typically the way it goes. And actually this week is one of those weekends where I've just got a ton of over money on a lot of games. And it's sometimes the sharp guys coming first and the public tails them. Other times it's just public's loving the over.
And then another game that I'm sure you're getting a huge volume on is the UCLA-Stanford matchup in the Pac-12. You already told us that in general in the Pac-12 this year you're getting much higher than normal volume, and this is, big matchup. I'm guessing again, huge action, split, and the sharps touching it. I don't know. My sense is that they might be touching UCLA, but let's hear what you have to say. What have you seen in this game, Brent?
Yeah, your spidey senses are correct there, Peter. I did take sharp action on UCLA.
Yes.
Now, again, it's all about the number. Right now, we have Stanford at home favored by 5.5. The total is 53. And the sharp money on UCLA came at +7. So that was the sharp play there. Our money at this point is pretty much even, and the count favors Stanford. So we've taken more Stanford bets, a little more public bets. So that's why our money's even. Even though the count favors Stanford, the money's even because the sharps are on UCLA, and they tend to fire a little bit bigger. And even on the total, we've had a ton of action on the total. It was nice because the money came over basically over 52.5 and under 53.5. So if it doesn't land 53, we sit back and collect our juice. But just been a ton of volume on that total as well as the side.
Just sharp money that you're talking about, or is that public money?
No, public money. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Nothing on the total that was sharp. Just a whole lot of volume like this total. We've taken a ton of money on this total, which is quite surprising.
But on the side, there is a sharp public split then, with the public pretty much clearly favoring Stanford and the sharp action on UCLA.
Yeah, and again, on UCLA, it was at +7, Peter.
Right.
5.5, haven't seen anything sharp come in since that.
And then another game, I'm sure huge action on this one as well, right? USC, Notre Dame. USC is a rejuvenated program now with after the Lane Kiffin firing, and I'm assuming that is going to be reflected in the action on their games. Now, on this one again, which way would the public be favoring? I don't know. Probably both sides, I'm guessing. Again, huge action and split down the middle.
Yeah, it's definitely been huge action. I mean, typically, even though what's going on with USC this season, we still had a lot of action on their games. Notre Dame always attracts a lot of attention from the public, so we always get good action on these games. Now they're playing each other, so it's been real nice. At this point, the count and the money are probably about 3 times in favor of Notre Dame. Actually, Peter, I don't have a ton of money back on USC, mostly favoring Notre Dame. We're sitting at 3 right now, but I don't know. It's going to take a lot to get us to budge off that number. No sharp action to speak of on this one.
So then it's going to be a small need on USC for you guys then, right?
At this point, yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, we're talking here on Thursday, so by Saturday anything can happen. But right now, yeah, we would need USC small.
Okay. And then the last game I want to ask you about is Florida at Missouri. Now, there's been a lot of people debating this game, giving opinions on the line. Of course, mainly because Missouri's starting quarterback is out. Some people are saying that that doesn't really matter that much, and that Missouri is going to be a great bet as a home dog. And then others saying that it matters a huge amount, and Florida's just going to come in and easily cover the low spread. What kind of action have you seen on this line?
Well, again, yeah, this is another one you've touched on that where we've got a lot of volume. The count is pretty close. The money actually favors Missouri right now. But the thing with that money that came on Missouri, it's not what I would call sharp money. It was a couple of big bets that came on Missouri. So right now the money does favor them. But the sharp action that we did see on this game came really early when the line was a pick. They jumped on Florida at that point. Even at 2.5, they jumped on Florida as well. The sharp did. So Florida is definitely a sharp play at -2.5 if you can get that anywhere else. Right now we're sitting in Florida -3, totals 43.5. And again, the money favors Missouri right now,
Right.
but again, it was just big bets, nothing sharp.
All right, that's all I wanted to ask you about in terms of individual games this week. Now let's get to the part that everyone's waiting for. What can you tell us about sharp action that you've taken, sides and or totals from the rest of the card?
Yeah, I just want to mention too that the volume this week has been fantastic. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of really good games on paper. LSU, Mississippi, just a ton of volume. Iowa, Ohio State, ton of volume. Oregon State, California, big volume. There's a lot of games this weekend we're getting a ton of action on, and we're also, I don't know if it's just kind of a trend. It's been like this all season long with the points being scored as high as they are. We've got a lot of overplays too, like Nevada, Boise State. We have huge decision there on the over. Iowa State, Baylor, huge on the over. Indiana, Michigan, huge on the over. All that kind of stuff. So we're looking for a lot of unders this weekend.
So all that over money, is that sharp and public money, or is that just public money?
No, in some cases there is some sharp money that comes in. I mean, I mentioned Indiana, Michigan is one of those plays now. There was sharp money that came in at the 67, but we're sitting at 68 right now. Nothing really noteworthy in terms of sharp. Like I wouldn't say, hey, go grab the over there at sharp play. But money that we respect. That's why we're at 68. But the rest of it is all public. Baylor's always a public overside. Boise State, Nevada, always public overside. So that's what kind of we're stuck there.
And with those public oversides, do you tend to break even with them at least? Does the public actually win with them, or do they get burned repeatedly?
No, sometimes the public will drive a number up to so high that the sharps come in the other way, and then kind of use the sharps to figure out what the sharp side is. Of course, other times we just we just let them fire away. We don't move a whole lot, thinking that the number is kind of the right number. So generally speaking, we need unders way more than we need overs, and we do pretty well at that.
So then in general, the public does tend to lose with all those overs that they love to pound.
Well, again, it's about the number too. So the number kind of gets beat up, and especially when they're on the same side as a sharp. I mean, you'll see a case where a sharp comes in and over, say, well, I mean, let's just, I'll jump to straight one of the plays this week is UNLV, Fresno State. Now, we took sharp money over 72.5 in that game, and it lines up to 74 right now. Public didn't really get involved in that game until it was 73.5, and they're still betting it over 74. So if you feed 74 to a sharp guy, he'll probably lay off. You give him 72.5, he's going over. You put 74 out to a public player, they're going to go over anyway.
Yeah, right. All right, Brent, what can you tell us about sharp and or public sides from Week 8 college football?
Well, let's touch on UNLV. I just mentioned that one, so that definitely was a sharp play on the over 72.5. That's UNLV at Fresno State. Florida we touched on as a sharp play, -2.5. A lot of action on North Texas. North Texas is playing Louisiana Tech this weekend. I've got them as a 5.5-point favorite. We took sharp money on North Texas -4.5. And the money's about 3-1 favoring North Texas. So we're going to need Louisiana Tech unless something happens, before Saturday. Another play we'd have is an over actually Texas Tech and West Virginia. We've got over money at 55.5 and over 56.5. We're sitting at 57 right now, but that was definitely sharp money on the over 55.5, 56.5. Texas Tech, West Virginia, and Florida State Clemson. We mentioned that was sharp on the over 63. That's pretty much it for this weekend, though, Peter. Also, we already talked about UCLA at +7. That was sharp as well.
So it doesn't sound like there are as many clear sharp sides or totals this week as in weeks past. Does that feel like about accurate statement?